Hey yo, welcome to the Physical and Beyond. It's your girl Desiree. Excuse the StreamYard logo because I don't have an upgraded account as of now, so the logo shows. Um, but tonight we're gonna be talking about questions to ask yourself as a woman before you have children. Um, and I know some people already have children, so they may feel like, well, it's too late. But I think this could still apply to people who may want to have more children because there's always room for improvement as we are going through life and seeking to make more elevated decisions, right? Decisions that are more calculated, decisions that call for more discernment and more preparation. So, I wanted to do that. I wanted to start off with some music first, and we'll see what we have here. I know YouTube is very particular with the kind of music you can play, so I'm going into their library. Let's see.
Looking for when I was a
Okay, let me just cut off the commercials. We don't need to hear that. So in the meantime, while we get ourselves ready, we'll see. Hopefully, if anybody shows up, I have my notes here, so I'm prepared. I was actually going to do this recorded, but I said let me go live. Hmm. I thought this was going to be an actual song, but this is like a relaxing. Let's go to the chat. Okay. Okay, and so we can stop there. I don't want us to go too long, but that was actually a nice beat. If you hear some sizzling in the background, that's the radiator because the heat is coming up. It's old fashioned heat, so yeah. And I also have something cooking on the stove, so I'm not going to stay on here too long making some lentils. But basically, things that you want to ask yourself as a lady, as a woman before having children. So the first thing is basically, um, what is your relationship like with the man that you are currently dealing with? Are you in like a long term committed relationship? I would suggest to be in a long term committed relationship first before even considering having children. Marriage is what I would say. I know some people they feel like that's controversial or that's too old fashioned. However, I think marriage still is beneficial um, for the children, um, for women, for men, when it's done in the proper way, and there's a lot of due diligence and discernment that goes into it. The morals and values they line up, the principles line up, and both are going into it not with this fantasy fairy tale idea about marriage and relationships, but realistic. I think it can be very beneficial. So that's what I would suggest to think about. What does your relationship look like with the man that you're dealing with? Also, have y'all had like those hard questions together? Questions about marriage, questions about children, questions about discipline. How would you raise the children? Um, do you both even want children? Um, yeah. Does he want children? Does he want children specifically with you? Because sometimes men will say they don't want something, but it's because they don't want it particularly with you. Sometimes they do want it with you, but not at this time. Like all those things make a difference. I think we can have this idea in our minds of what we want a man to be instead of what he is. So I think it's important to be realistic with that. Um, I don't know what's up with my connection. Let me see. I don't know what's wrong with this thing because it's really annoying because it's saying the connection is unstable. I'm hoping that y'all can still hear me and see me. Um, sorry about that. We're gonna have to probably reach out to the network provider and see maybe things need to be updated because I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it does that. Even when like I'm using Zoom or certain things, it causes things to go slowly. I'm trying to see if I can delete some stuff or close some things I should say. Maybe that will help. It's saying to plug it into the router, but I don't have a cord. So hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, let me just continue. So, yeah, so like I was saying, sometimes we can have the idea of what we want a man to be instead of what he is, or based on the things that he wants and he don't want. We want it to line up with what we want and what we don't want instead of being realistic of what it is. So, does he want children and does he want children with you in particular? Um, have y'all already gone through like the honeymoon stage, the butterfly stage? Not all relationships go through that stage at the beginning. Some relationships start off kind of realistic and yes, both like one another, but it's not like this honeymoon, butterfly, giddy giddy type of thing. But some relationships do start off that way. So I think it's good to make sure that you've already passed that stage and now you're in the realistic stage. You see each other for who you really are and you're seeing what you're really getting yourself into. And it's not about, oh, they're a bad person or you're a bad person. It's about just being realistic with your situation. Um, Also, how was he raised? How were you raised? Those things are going to affect your relationship with one another. And that's also going to affect your relationship with when you have like a child together and how you're going to raise that child. So, how you were raised and how he was raised makes a difference. Have y'all talked about that? Are y'all aware of that? Are y'all both honest about that with yourselves? Is there accountability? What are you both doing to work on some things that may excuse me I have allergies. How have y'all been working on that, on those things that you probably need to work on when it comes to the way that you were raised? Even people who are raised in like very healthy households, there are still things that they may need to unlearn or learn, or just other aspects of their character that they may need to develop. But especially people who grew up like in dysfunctional homes, they weren't raised the way that they needed to be raised. Maybe a parent passed away, maybe both parents, maybe there was unfortunately abuse, parent abandoned a child. Like those type of things make a huge difference in the development of a child. Of course, there's going to be people who go through that and they come out fine, but the average person that goes through those type of experiences as a child, they tend to need to become aware of that and work through that, and that's going to look different for different people. Also, have y'all both how do y'all both handle like disagreements and like conflicts, and how do you both communicate about that? Sometimes as women we can be like passive aggressive. Not every woman is like that, but I have seen that with myself. I have seen it with other women, dealing with passive aggressiveness. Passive aggressiveness is actually a form of deception, because you're smiling and you're laughing, or you're laying up and you're hee hee ha ha with a man. Meanwhile, deep down you feel differently about him, or something that he did or said or whatever, or about the relationship itself. And you're not being honest with him and upfront with him about how you really feel. So how do you expect him to know where you stand with him in the relationship if you're not being honest and upfront with him about how you really feel? It's like, well, he should just know. Or if he doesn't say anything about it, then he probably doesn't care. Well, if he doesn't know, then of course he's not doing it on purpose, because he's not even aware of it. So it's like you have to learn how to communicate that. Now, it's one thing if you're communicating it over and over again and it's not getting through to him, then maybe silence may be the best thing, or some other measure. But if you're not even communicating it and he's unaware of why you feel the way you feel, and your response is, well, I'm just not going to talk, or I'm going to be passive aggressive, I'm not really sure how helpful that's going to be in the relationship. And I've heard a lot of men complain about that, like, oh, women expect you to read their mind, and I gotta jump through all these hoops and ask her if everything is okay. She says yes, but then she still has an attitude, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, she randomly just starts talking about something out of nowhere, and it's like, well, I asked you if everything was okay, and you said it was fine. You know what I mean? Or you said you didn't want to talk about it. Now all of a sudden you're blowing up on me, or you don't want to talk to me. So we have to learn as women to become more mature when it comes to our communication. Like I said, there may be a time for silence, but if a person is unaware of what's going on, or they're thinking that the relationship is going fine and it's one way, but it's really not that way, how are you going to have a healthy relationship with this man? How are you going to have children with this man if you can't communicate with one another about how you both really feel about one another? And how does he communicate with you? Is he flying off the handle? Is he yelling and screaming? Or is he also being passive aggressive? Or is he just shutting down, not wanting to talk at all? Like, these things are things that you have to look at when you are looking at the person that you're in a relationship with, and you make sure that you're also looking at yourself. That's why I mentioned us. We need to look at ourselves. It's easy to say, well, that person is communicating like that, and they're doing that, but are you looking at yourself as well and seeing, am I communicating in a healthy way? Am I being honest? Am I being upfront? Am I being clear? If not, then maybe there's something that I need to evaluate about myself as well. So it's important to consider that. So going into the next thing, so that was like basically assessing your relationship with the man and how y'all interact and all the type of stuff. And the next thing, as far as like looking into asking yourself things before you have children, is basically, are you emotionally and mentally ready to have children? This also applies for spiritually as well. Are you emotionally intelligent and mature within yourself? Same with spiritually and mentally. What are your problem solving skills? Like when you have issues and concerns that come up, how do you handle it? Of course, none of us are perfect. We make mistakes, we falter, but are you able to be accountable? Are you able to say, I messed up, or maybe I should have spoke up more, or maybe I should have said less, or maybe my attitude or my tone, or maybe when I got bombarded with that financial decision, maybe I should have thought it through before I just jumped, or maybe I took a little too long, or maybe I should have sought counsel, or Maybe there's some things that I need to work on when it comes to my self control over my anger, or maybe I need to forgive, or maybe there's certain type of things that I'm going through that I haven't worked through. Like, are you taking those steps to really assess yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to see where you are? Are you intelligent enough to do those things and hold yourself accountable and be mature? It's easy to say, well, I'm an adult, I pay my own bills, I do this and I do that. But it's one thing to be able to be an adult, it's another thing to be mature. Adult is okay, I'm an adult, I'm a certain age, I can do this, I can do that. But how do you interact with people? How do you assess yourself? How do you interact with life's challenges? It's easy to be nice and whatever and whatever and calm when things are going well. But when things are becoming difficult, how do you handle it? How do you deal with death? How do you deal with when things don't go your way? Like I said, financial situations that don't go well, or when somebody crosses you or whatever. Like, how do you deal with these type of things? Or when you have fault somebody, how do you respond? All these things are going to play a role in you being a parent. So we need to look at ourselves as women and say, am I emotionally, mentally, and spiritually mature and intelligent? Am I holding myself accountable? Am I forgiving? Am I merciful? Am I gracious? Am I patient? Am I kind? Do I have those type of characteristics? Like I said, it's easy to be that way when things are going well, but when things not going well, how are you acting? How are you treating people? Like I said, we all have our days. None of us are perfect. But then, do you backtrack and then hold yourself accountable? How are you able to apologize? Are you able to reassess? Are you able to say, let me come out of my own ego and look and see maybe where I may have played a part in something? If you can't do that as a woman and you're raising children, your children are seeing that, wow, my mother is unforgiving. She's always holding things against me. She's always holding things over my head. She keeps bringing it up. She's always yelling. She's always screaming. She's always in my face. She's calling me names. She's saying things that are not nice when she goes through things. These things play a major role in the development of our children, their self-esteem, their self-worth, their confidence, them being able to come into their own boundaries and their own standards and who they are and their identity as an individual. They are looking to us as mothers. We are one of the first people that they're going to spend as much time with. Of course, the father matters too, which is why I mentioned what is he like as well. But as far as this, we're focusing on ourselves. Where are we at emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? And also, do you have boundaries? Do you have healthy boundaries? How do you assert your boundaries? Because you can have boundaries and say, well, I can say no, or I know what it is that I want. I can stand on it. But how do you express that? Do you express it in a healthy way? Are your boundaries coming from a healthy place? Or are they coming from an ego, or you're not going to cross me, you're not going to get over on me type of way? Or is it more so coming from a place of love? I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I was called to be, and I'm able to stand in that and have boundaries in that because of I know who I am. It's not coming from a place of anger. It's not coming from a place of ego. It's not coming from a place of bitterness. It just is what it is. This is who I am, and you can take it or leave it, and not in an ego way. Like, I still do see that there's areas of myself that I can work on. I still can see that I may be sometimes not the best person to other people, and I can address that and slowly work on that day by day. And I can also respect the boundaries of other people, right? Um, are you on a path to personal growth? Have you addressed and acknowledged any trauma or things in your life that you have gone through? All those things affect you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well. And the last thing basically is, are you physically ready to have a child? Children take a major toll on your body when you are pregnant. I've never been pregnant before, but I've heard the stories. I've read so many things. Of course, every woman's pregnancy is different. Some women have a breezy pregnancy and other women don't. But even with the women who have really easy pregnancies, what is your health like? Are you at a healthy weight? Of course, that's going to vary for different women based on your height, based on your build, and so on. But a lot of times we're not thinking about these things. Many times, if you get pregnant, you may gain a lot of weight, which is normal. But if you're already at a certain weight, you have to think about stuff like that. Not just being overweight, but also being underweight. So we have to think about these things. Are you eating a relatively healthy diet? It's going to be challenging if you already don't have self-control to eat relatively healthy, then when you get pregnant, you may have these cravings, and it's easy to just grab whatever you can grab, and you're not fulfilling yourself with the nutrient dense foods that you need, not just for yourself, but for the child. So it's good to start these habits now and not wait until later on. Do you emotionally eat, or do you have other eating challenges, overeating, not eating enough, eating from a place of depression? All those things play a role in your health as well. Do you stay active regularly? Do you work out? You don't necessarily go to the gym, but do you work out at home? Are you walking? Are you taking the stairs? Are you staying active? Do you dance? Do you move around? You don't sit too much and keeping yourself moving. What are you doing to keep yourself in shape? That's important. And also, do you cleanse yourself? Are you cleansing? Are you detoxing? A lot of times it's challenging to do that when you're pregnant, because a lot of things they tell you not to do too much of those things when you're pregnant. Now you can drink water and you can do other things that will naturally help you to cleanse. But a lot of things that we can do when we are not pregnant, we may not be able to do when we are pregnant. So it's good to cleanse your body regularly. When you're not pregnant, keep yourself on a good diet, working out, exercising. Um, yeah, like I said, cleansing, all that good stuff. That's basically what I wanted to say with that. So, recap, what is your relationship like with the man that you're currently dealing with? Looking at his the way that he is, his character, um, your character. How do y'all relate to one another? Have y'all had the hard questions? Have y'all gotten out of the honeymoon stage and see it for what it really is? I suggest, even for myself, be married first before having children. Of course, things happen, but I think that we have to be responsible and not just like let things happen. It's one thing when you're trying your best, and even in a marriage, sometimes you may want to wait an extra year or two before you have children. The thing to do as well. But everybody's path is different when it comes to marriage. So some people may have children right away, some people may have children later on. So it really just depends. But yeah, just assessing that. Are you emotionally and mentally ready to have kids? And also, are you physically ready? So that's basically that I wanted to say. I'm gonna go because I want to check my lentils, make sure they're okay. I'm sure they're fine. But I also wouldn't want this to be too out overdrawn. It's already 23 minutes. So I hope that y'all basically enjoy this video. Hope that it was helpful and it gives you some things to think about as a woman before choosing to have children. Or maybe, like I said at the beginning, it may not necessarily be like your first child. You may feel like, oh, well, I already had kids. I didn't think about these things before I had kids. But hey, maybe you're considering to have more children. And you're like, you know what? Before I have more children, let me think about these things first before I have another child. So now I can do things a little differently next time. So that's basically it. Take care and hope y'all have a good night. And oh yeah, and Happy New Year. I haven't been on here for the new year. I know it's been crazy. I haven't been consistent on here, but I decided to just get on here tonight and talk about this because I felt led to, because I feel like it's important, because some women, young women, may not be thinking about these things. They may have some guy pressuring them, or they may be feeling inclined to have kids, or family or friends pushing them, society. It's not as much push from society as it used to be, but there still is some there. And even women my age and women who are older may still have those type of pressures as well, or it may just be some things that you're just not thinking about that may be a good reminder to think about. So take care, and I hope y'all have a good night or day whenever you watch this. Take care. Bye.